was a lipstick boy, she was a beautiful boy, and tears boy.
There's a kind of Jaws element to it. You just go, right, I'll take that thing that frightens you from Jaws and I'll just do that with it and put it there. I mean, all I had was an idea that I wanted it to be big enough to eat you and, you know, something that could frighten you, you know, and not a painting and, you know, not a sculpture and not a light box. I just wanted this thing that had that actual, you know, could create that actual fear. But then I suppose, you know, there was something in those times that made everybody feel it was possible to go that bit further and larger.
She was a lipstick boy, she was a beautiful boy, and tears boy, and all in your inner space boy, I had and girls boy.
We never had an idea that we were going to make paintings and wait for somebody to come along. It just, you know, just wasn't like that. It was like, we couldn't wait, which is like, you know, we just said, come on, let's just get a building, go out there and like do it, and get, because it's like the works, the things that we were making didn't function unless they were actually in a space, and with people looking at them. Now underpants are art, and I remember they had the Daily Star standing in front of the fish piece with a bag of chips. You know, and you get all that stuff, and it's like people don't realise that, you know, they think, God, that art's so sensational, when really, it's this stuff in the newspapers which is a lot more sensational. When you actually go there, you know, I mean, like the cow and calf cut in half, there's something really sort of sad and quiet and tragic about it. When you actually see it, again, the same with the shark, you know. But then, you know, we do have a few heads blown off and things in there. We're not averse to that kind of stuff.
City dweller, successful fella, thought to himself, oops, I've got a lot of money. Caught in a rat race, terminally. I'm a professional cynic, but my heart's not in it.
That Blur video was quite Benny Hill, wasn't it?
Well, that's what I did when I asked to do it. I put on the thing, I wrote very Benny Hill. That was the whole script for it. And we did it. I had Damon cut out a load of shots from it, which was really bad because he didn't want to alienate his female fans. We had I had Joe Guest in a nurse's uniform running on the spot, like big in and out cleavage shots. And I think in a way for me that kind of made it. I mean, it was always, I don't know, I think the song was kind of like that, do you know what I mean? At the end of the day.
Two of Britain's most popular pop groups have begun the biggest chart war in 30 years. The Manchester band Oasis and their arch rivals Blur released new singles today, each hoping to reach the #1 spot next week. The music industry hasn't seen anything like it since the Beatles fought it out with the Rolling Stones in the 60s.
The enemy wanted to stoke the fires of a war between Blur and Oasis and stand back and see who survived. Blur fell for it a bit too much. I don't think Oasis were too worried by it. And I think everybody at the NME wanted Blur to win that war because it was a nice, you know, they were nice middle-class boys and the NME was an Oxbridge paper. They were a bit annoyed when the working-class oiks from Manchester won out.
And there was that whole nonsense between you and Oasis. I mean, how did that all come about?
I don't think we need to talk about that. Really.
Okay, that's fine.
Just because everyone knows about that, you know.
But I mean, for you, that must have been, you know.
I'm not going to tell you the real reason why.
All right.
Because you know, there are other people involved, and the real reason why we fell out so kind of sort of publicly.
It's been described as the British Heavyweight Pop Music Championship. In one corner, 4 young middle-class men from the south of England, collectively known as Blur, and in the other corner, 5 young working-class men from Manchester, called Oasis. They're the 2 most popular bands in Britain, having sold millions of records, and they're currently engaged in a chart war that set the music industry alight.
We are now in the golden era again of British pop music. But these are two groups, Oasis and Blur, who actually formed on the indie circuit, who have grown more and more popular through just playing lots and lots of gigs around the country, and who have now crossed right over to the public at large, and they're duking it out to see who is the biggest.
The way I see it is Steve Sutherland saying to Damon Albarn, you should have released a single on the same day as them, we'll sell a shitload of papers and you'll sell a shitload of records. That's the way I see it. We were quite offended at the time. We were sat in Rockfield and Alan McGee came down and said, well, they've moved their single back. You know, they had it ready to go like 2 weeks before and they decided to stop it and move it back so it was on the same day as ours. And Alan McGee and that was saying, well, you know, just like move yours back again. And we were saying, no, fuck that, you know. So it was a chance, it was their last chance really to drag themselves up on the coattails of my band really. And, you know, the NME losing readers by the thousands every week. I suppose it was something that they didn't think would get us out of hand as it did. But then again, you get Damon Albarn on the 10 o'clock news, you know. I ask you, what the fuck is all that about, you know?
When the record shop doors opened this morning, battle commenced. The chances are both singles could have been #1 had they been released on separate weeks.
I'm a little nervous about the whole thing, obviously, because both bands have really upped the stakes, and someone's going to come out on top and someone's going to come out second. And you know, by the very nature of being in a band, you're always quite competitive, and you want to come top, really. You know, I found myself on the news at 10 in this kind of battle, supposed battle. All really odd.
Because you were saying to me last time we met that, you know, when you were, you know, just walking around in the street, you were getting heckled.
Yeah. But also cheered as well. I don't think it's kind of, I don't want to cast myself as like, you know, poor little Damon, everyone started picking on him. It wasn't really like that, but it was quite a bit unnerving on occasions. I mean, everywhere I went, I'd be reminded of it.
Blair didn't come out of it too well. They were kind of the middle-class band, and you guys were the working-class heroes.
Well, I wouldn't say Blair didn't come out of it well, but that's what they are. And that's what we are. You can't, you know, don't dress it up and make it something that it's not. You know, they've never been on a building site. Not to say that that's, you know, not to say that the dirt under your fingernails is some sort of badge of honour. You know, it's not. It's just a fact, you know. They never had a paper round. You know, I had a milk round and stuff like that, you know. I worked on building sites. That fundamentally makes my soul a lot more pure than theirs.
The strange thing about it is that you were suddenly Blur with a sort of inauthentic middle-class pop band, and Oasis with a real gritty working-class heroes. How did you feel about all that?
That was very intelligent observation by whoever made that, wasn't it? What do I think about it?
Yeah, I mean, well, how did you feel? I mean, that whole time... I mean,
how did I feel? I felt stupid, and I felt... I just felt very confused, basically. Didn't really realise that my kind of flippancy was going to have such, you know, profound sort of resonance in my life. And I changed quite dramatically after that period.